Today's video, we're going to be talking about why food nowadays is so addictive and how to overcome that addiction. And we kind of know that food is an addiction similar to even other drugs, substances, behaviors, such as people addicted to pornography or social media, because to me, an addiction, and to a lot of people, is when you engage in a behavior despite negative consequences. And so we can kind of see this with so many people nowadays, you know, more and more people becoming obese in America and other countries. And obviously, nobody wants to be obese, and yet we're still gaining weight. And so that tells me that food is definitely an addiction. And even for people like myself, who it's hard to gain weight just because of my genetics, food still has a lot of negative consequences on me. I mean, I used to eat to the point where I would get sick the next day just because I enjoyed eating so much and I couldn't stop myself. But once I understood how food addiction works in the body and the brain, I was able to implement different strategies to overcome that addiction. So, the first thing to understand and to think about when understanding why food is so addictive is looking at what has changed in the past 150 years that is making people more and more obese. And so, really, the big culprit is the food. The food has changed so much, and now we're having very processed foods, things like sugars, processed sugars, different flours. So the problem with these processed foods is that throughout human evolution, the body has never dealt with such dense sugars or flour. We never used to eat these things. And so if we're not evolved to do that, then something's going to go wrong in the body. The body's going to have to deal with that in some way. And so I'm going to explain sort of how that works. Starting with dopamine. So dopamine, if you don't know, is a chemical in our brain and body that has to do with our pleasure and motivation when we engage in or pursue different activities, including eating food. And so when we eat things that are so dense in sugars or added sugars and flours, we get this sort of spike in dopamine that makes us feel really good in the moment. That's why it feels good to eat these things. And the problem, again, with this spike is our bodies have never had to deal with that. And so the way it compensates is by crashing our dopamine while it takes time to replenish that back to that normal level in our brain and body. And so that's fine. However, instead of giving our body time to do that, we eat these foods again. Because when we have this low dopamine, after that crash, we don't feel good. We feel stressed, we're annoyed, we're bored, and so we turn to that food again. We want that spike in dopamine again. Our brain thinks like, oh, this is good. This is what we want. However, that continues to just consume dopamine, leading to further and further crashes till eventually our dopamine is far lower and we're feeling less motivated. We don't enjoy simple activities or food like whole foods, and we just need that processed food to feel okay. This is sort of how tolerance and dependence is built, because when we're down here and very low levels of dopamine, the only thing that can make us feel better is that addictive food. And so we become dependent on it. And then it becomes harder to overcome. So the other process by which this food is addictive has to do with another spike, this time in our blood sugar. And so when our blood sugar spikes, a similar thing happens. It causes a crash. And so when that crashes our blood sugar, we feel very low energy. We feel like we need food. We need energy to move. And so our body, it wants that food again. And so even though we're full, even though we don't need any more food, our body tells us that we do because it's getting confused with these signals. So our body typically releases leptin, which is a hormone that tells us that we're full. But when we have this low blood sugar, that leptin sort of gets blocked. And over time, we become resistant to that. So we're not able to hear when our body tells us, you're full, you have enough food, you don't need to eat anymore. So these are sort of the two processes by which food becomes addictive, and we find ourselves eating to cope with stress, when we're not hungry, we're doing it for enjoyment. And the problem is that food that our body has never learned to deal with. So the answer from this problem is quite simple, but it's obviously not easy to implement, and that is cutting out this processed food. And so now I'm going to talk about 3 ways to help you as you go about doing that. Because once you cut out these food, it's going to be very hard in the beginning. Your brain is going to want that food. It's going to have low dopamine. It's going to want to feel better. But over time, as your dopamine returns to that normal level, you're not going to crave this food anymore. And you're going to be able to enjoy healthy food. And that's what I found for myself. I love eating whole foods. I love fruits, vegetables, meats, eggs. And before, I used to just live on nachos and ramen and snacks and chocolate. So the first thing to think about is, how do we actually replace this processed food? And I've mentioned it a few times, and that's by replacing it with whole foods, which is foods with one ingredient. And the reason that these foods, fruits, vegetables, meat, dairy, eggs, things like that, can be very helpful is because they have high volume, right? So if you think about vegetables, they take up a lot of space. For example, you take a cucumber, take a bell pepper, that's a large piece of food, but the calories are so low. And so it's going to take up a lot of room in your stomach, which is going to help you to feel full, and it's going to help you fight those cravings for that processed food. And so that's one of the ways it's going to help. Another way is the protein. So getting protein from meats is going to help you to feel full, feel satiated. And another way is to eat healthy sugars. So I'm not telling you to just deny your sweet tooth forever. Humans have always consumed sugars, but not in the way that we're doing now. We never ate cane sugar. We never ate these artificial sweeteners. What we ate was fruit. What we ate was honey and maple syrup. Not this syrup that's just water with added sugar, but actual raw maple syrup. And what I found for myself, and what I hope you find too, is that these things don't spike our dopamine or blood sugar in the same way, and actually don't cause those same crashes. So nobody gets addicted to fruit. You don't eat fruit until you're gaining weight, right? Because it makes you feel satiated. There's fiber in the fruit that causes it to break down slower, leading to you not spiking in the same way. And so these things you'll find for you, probably for most people, are okay to eat. They're not going to have the same effects as the processed foods. And so you can actually replace these sugars, flours, with those healthy sugars like honey. Like, for example, I love brownies, and so I still make brownies. I sweeten it with honey. I'll still eat a lot of fruit, and it fulfills that sort of sweet tooth without causing problems for me. So going on with replacement, we want to replace the actual coping tool that food is, because for a lot of people, and maybe for you, you'll notice that food is actually a way to cope with stress. Or maybe when you're cutting out this food, you'll notice that you just want to get that dopamine spike. You just want to feel better instead of eating because you're hungry. And so we want to figure out, how can we deal with that stress in a healthy way instead of just eating. So I'll share what works for me to kind of deal with stress in a way that doesn't spike my dopamine. But what's going to work for you is probably going to be different. There's millions of ways that you can cope with stress, and it's going to be highly personal. So for me, I love to spend time outside, touch grass. I love to take deep breaths. spend time with my family, or even just taking a second to think about and ask myself, what am I stressed about? And when I do that, I notice that I realize, okay, what the actual problem is, and I can have a different perspective on it. I can feel better about it. And I realize I don't need to eat to feel better, and I can realize that's actually going to cause problems for me. So you can think about and experiment how you can deal with stress in a way that doesn't spike your dopamine and that's not going to cause problems for you. So the third tool I want to share with you to make this process as easy as possible is actually optimizing our environment. And so there are two ways I like to split this up to look at this. First is physical, and the second is social. So very easy way, sort of low-hanging fruit way that you can reach your goals is by getting rid of all this food in your home, just so it's not within reach, so that's hard to get to. So you can look at the labels of your food. If it has added sugar, things like sugar cane, if it has artificial sweeteners, these things, they're going to mess with your dopamine and blood sugar. You're going to want to get rid of those. Things with flour in them, things like bread, pizza, crackers, these things are also going to spike our dopamine and blood sugar and are quite addictive. Now, if you can't get rid of these things from your home, it probably has to do with the second factor, which is social. You probably live with somebody who also has food that they're not going to want to get rid of, and so we need to have a conversation with them. Maybe they can put it in a different place where you don't have access to it. Maybe you could share your goals with them and they could help keep you accountable. This is going to make it as easy as possible for you. Maybe your family makes dinners, and maybe you could let them know, hey, instead of making bread for a side dish, maybe we could have rice or potatoes. That, again, is going to be a replacement, and it's going to be high volume. It's going to be a sort of a healthy sugar instead of being addicting like the bread. Again, with social, maybe you have friends that are going to want to go out to eat, or you're going to have work or a school event where they're giving away free food. And so in these situations, we want to talk with a friend. We want to let them know our goals. We want to have a plan in place. When we have these opportunities to stray from our goals, what are we going to do? Maybe we can pack food that's more healthy for us. And going back to the physical environment for a moment, maybe we can have snacks, healthy snacks ready in the fridge that we can grab so that we're not tempted to, hop on Uber Eats or eat a snack that our friend is eating. So these are ways you can make your environment suitable for your long-term goals. So just to recap, what's making food addictive is the way that food has changed. It's become more processed, it's become more calorically and sugar dense in a way that humans have never had to deal with. This is causing problems with our blood sugar and dopamine, and we can solve this by replacing it with whole foods. These things are high volume, they're going to help us feel satiated. These sugars are not going to mess with these systems in our body as much. And we want to think about how can we cope with stress during this process in a healthier way so that we're not turning to food. And then lastly, just making our environment in a way that's going to make it as easy as possible. And so if you've tried these things, if you're just still struggling, and maybe you're running into different roadblocks, I would love to chat with you and help you through this process. So please click the link in the description and set up a time to chat with me. But if you're just interested in more videos like this, understanding how dopamine works, changing your habits, please subscribe. Or if you have any comments or questions about this, I would love to answer them in the comments below. And I will see you in the next video.